Close your eyes and drift with me into a vision of deep time. If this meditation brings you peace, a gentle like would mean the world. Tonight, we dissolve into the slowest dream imaginable, where Mars awakens from its frozen sleep across 1,000 years. Not a frantic rescue mission, but a love letter written in centuries. Watching rust-red deserts remember how to breathe, how to flow, how to bloom beneath patient human hands. So nestle into softness, release the day, and prepare to float through transformation measured not in hours, but in generations, where your heartbeat becomes the pulse of planetary change. First, let us sync our breathing to the rhythm of worlds. Draw air slowly into your lungs. Feel your ribs expand like continents drifting. Hold this suspended moment. Release everything into the darkness. Your body knows the ancient art of letting go, just as Mars once released its atmosphere to the void. Each exhalation teaches you the patience we'll need tonight, the trust in processes larger than ourselves. No force, no striving, only gentle, inevitable surrender to rest. One more breath to anchor us in this floating state. Notice how effortless this is, how your lungs fill and empty without thought, how life sustains itself in quiet rhythms. Breathe in the color of possibility. Cradle it within you. Let tension dissolve like frost in morning sun. Feel yourself becoming lighter, as if gravity itself loosens its grip, as if you're already drifting in Martian air that hasn't existed for 3 billion years. With each cycle of breath, you slip deeper into this timeless place, where centuries compress into heartbeats. Your consciousness settles on Mars this very moment. Jezero crater, where robotic explorers trace ancient riverbeds in perpetual cold. Your suit sensors whisper, -80 degrees Celsius, the aching cold of late winter afternoons. Pressure barely registers, 610 pascals, a fraction of Earth's 101,325 pascals, less than 1%. What passes for air here? 95% carbon dioxide, 2.7% nitrogen, traces of argon and oxygen. Poison to human lungs. Too thin for water to remain liquid, hovering below the critical threshold of 611 pascals, where water can only exist as crystal or vapor, never flowing. Above, the sky bleeds butterscotch and salmon, dust suspended in whispers of atmosphere. The sun hangs smaller than you've ever known it, 60% the size, pale and somehow lonelier. Mars circles at 1.52 astronomical units, catching only 43% of the solar warmth that bathes Earth. Around you, an ancient delta frozen mid-story for 3 billion years. Stones scattered like forgotten words. Distant crater walls fading to purple through the transparent air. Silence so complete it feels sacred. No breath of wind strong enough to register. No water music anywhere. No whisper of life. Mars exists in perfect stillness, beautiful and utterly indifferent to your presence. A question forms like frost crystallizing. Could this silent world ever sing again? Could water remember its ancient dance across these stones, the way it flowed when this delta was young? Could you stand here someday without armor, feeling Martian wind on bare skin, filling your lungs with this sky? Not tomorrow. Not within the span of your heartbeat or mine. Not for your children or their children's children. But if humanity learned to think in the rhythm of mountains, if we became gardeners, tending seeds we'd never see bloom, if we chose patience over possession, perhaps Mars could dream itself awake again. Tonight, we explore that impossible patience together. We won't debate whether Mars should be touched. That conversation echoes elsewhere. Tonight we ask simply, what would awakening require? How many sunrises must pass? What tools exist in the universe for such transformation? What forces resist it? Let's trace the science like a lullaby, understanding the magnitude without judgment, appreciating the patience involved, exploring real proposals woven from physics and chemistry and planetary dreams. Not escapist fantasy, but grounded speculation, numbers and timescales that anchor imagination in possibility. Let these details wash through you like rain you haven't felt in eons, painting visions that quiet the mind. Temperature tells the first story. Mars shivers at an average of -63 degrees Celsius year-round. Earth rests at +15 degrees Celsius. Between them, a gap of 78 degrees, requiring impossible amounts of heat. Yet extremes hint at hope. Equatorial summers can touch plus 20 degrees Celsius, warm enough for shirt sleeves, if only the air cooperated. But polar winters plunge to minus 125 degrees Celsius, colder than anywhere on Earth. Minus 89 degrees in Antarctica are record cold. Thin air holds no memory of warmth. Temperatures can swing 60 to 100 degrees between noon and midnight. Transformation would mean thickening this amnesia into memory, teaching the air to hold heat through the darkness. Air pressure defines what's possible. Current pressure of 610 pascals makes liquid water a forbidden state. Need at least 1000 pascals for water to exist as liquid in sheltered warmth, nearly double what exists. For human breathing, our bodies require 15 to 20 kilopascals of oxygen pressing into our lungs. Earth provides this at 101 kilopascals total pressure, 21% oxygen. Mars could sustain us at roughly 50 kilopascals total if oxygen concentration rose. 40% oxygen at 50 kilopascals yields 20 kilopascals oxygen partial pressure, breathable, though fire would love such air. Complex chemistry, but nature permits it. The missing magnetic field haunts every plan. 4.2 billion years ago, Mars's heart stopped beating, its core freezing solid, its protective field collapsing. Earth's magnetic cocoon deflects solar wind, charged particles screaming from the sun at 400 kilometers per second. Mars stands naked before this onslaught, solar wind tearing directly at the upper atmosphere, stripping lighter atoms to space at roughly 100 grams each second. Across 4 billion years, this theft removed Mars's original thick atmosphere, perhaps 1 to 3 bar initially, leaving the current 0.006 bar whisper. The haunting question: would any new atmosphere we gift Mars simply bleed away again? Analysis suggests atmospheric theft operates on 10 to 100 million year timescales, slow enough that human tending could replace what's lost. Yet Mars hoards treasure for its own reawakening. The South Polar Cap crystallizes 3 to 4 trillion tons of frozen carbon dioxide. Sublimated to gas, this would double atmospheric pressure to approximately 1,200 pascals. Still only 1.2% of Earth's pressure, but crossing the threshold for liquid water in warm places. The North Polar Cap, 1.6 million cubic kilometers of water ice, enough to drown the planet 11 meters deep uniformly, or create an ocean covering 1/3 of the surface 30 meters deep. Subsurface ice sleeps at mid-latitudes, 1 to 10 meters down. Water waits everywhere, frozen in patience, dreaming of warmth. The ingredients exist, awaiting only will and time beyond measure. First method of awakening: alchemical gases. Perfluorocarbons like carbon tetrafluoride and sulfur hexafluoride trap heat 10,000 to 25,000 times more effectively than carbon dioxide, molecule for molecule. They linger for thousands of years once released. The vision: manufacture these compounds on Mars from fluorine hidden in minerals. Breathe them into the atmosphere. Tiny concentrations, 0.1 to 1.0 parts per million, could raise temperatures 10 to 30 degrees Celsius across several decades. Cost: nuclear reactors or solar arrays vast as cities, fluorine mines, processing plants, continuous production spanning generations. Advantage: chemistry alone, no structures in space required. Challenge: energy demands that would dwarf nations, industrial commitment across lifetimes. Mirrors in orbit offer a more visible approach. Reflective surfaces 100 kilometers across, gossamer-thin aluminium-coated film. Total mass around 200,000 tons, possibly built from materials mined from Mars's moons Phobos and Deimos. Positioned in orbit, concentrating extra sunlight onto the polar caps. 20 to 30% additional solar warmth could push polar temperatures above -78 degrees Celsius, the point where carbon dioxide ice transforms to gas, triggering greenhouse warming as atmosphere thickens. Engineering puzzles: mirror stability demanding constant adjustment with ion drives, deploying structures spanning 100 kilometers, maintaining them across decades. Beauty: reversible if we change our minds, adjustable to warm different regions seasonally, potentially faster than chemistry alone, decades rather than centuries. Carl Sagan dreamed the simplest path in 1973. Cover the polar ice with darkness, carbon black, Martian dust, engineered nanoparticles, or dark pigmented bacteria engineered to thrive on ice. Reducing reflectivity from 60 to 70% down to 10 to 20%. Physics whispers: absorbed energy equals solar constant times 1 minus albedo times surface area. Dropping albedo from 0.65 to 0.15 increases absorbed sunlight by 143%, potentially warming surfaces 20 to 30 degrees locally. Simplest vision: aerial seeding, robotic spreaders, or biological, dark bacteria slowly colonizing ice. Slowest path requiring patient effort across centuries as fresh ice emerges beneath darkened layers, but achievable with technology that exists today. Asteroids and comets offer the most dramatic possibility. Small bodies redirected to impact Mars, delivering kinetic energy, volatiles, and catastrophic heat. Impact energy scales as 1/2 mass times velocity squared, with velocities around 5 kilometers per second for Mars approach. Imagine a 10-kilometer comet, mass roughly 5 times 10 to the 14th kilograms, striking at 5 kilometers per second, releases 6 times 10 to the 23rd joules, equivalent to 100 million megatons, vaporizing the impactor and significant surface area, creating temporary atmosphere of steam and carbon dioxide in the impact zone. Challenges: capability to redirect asteroids using gravity tractors or propulsion, precise targeting over years, multiple impacts needed for sustained effect, convincing humanity that planetary bombardment is gardening, not violence. Conceivable, but profoundly complex. Before we drift further into deep time, a whisper. If this journey brings you peace, please consider liking or subscribing. We create these meditations regularly, each one exploring different visions of cosmos and transformation to cradle you into rest. Your support allows these dreams to continue reaching others seeking peace among the stars. Now, let's return to Mars and watch impossible patience unfold. Energy requirements stagger the imagination, yet remain calculable. Sublimating the South Polar carbon dioxide demands roughly 10 to the 16th joules, comparable to every nuclear weapon on Earth detonating as one. Warming the planet, manufacturing greenhouse gases, supporting growing populations, all demand sustained energy across centuries. Sources available: solar power. Mars receives 590 watts per square meter versus Earth's 1,361, diminished but sufficient with vast arrays. Nuclear fission from uranium and thorium deposits orbiters have detected. Nuclear fusion if mastered, deuterium from water, lithium from crust, energy essentially unlimited. Scale: warming poles through greenhouse gas production might demand 10 to the 14th to 10 to the 15th watts, sustained for decades. Comparable to current human civilization's total power generation. Demanding, but achievable for a spacefaring culture with centuries to build. Now let time begin to blur and pool. Close your eyes for a heartbeat. When they open, a decade has dissolved. 10 years compressed into a breath. Standing in the same location, Jezero crater. Sensors read -79 degrees instead of -80 degrees. 1 single degree. Barely detectable. Polar factories have exhaled greenhouse gases without pause. Tons daily, every day, accumulating parts per million. Instruments confirm the shift. Perfluorocarbon concentration 0.3 parts per million. Atmospheric temperature rising 0.05 degrees annually. Trajectory established. The work begun. Patience required. This is a story told in degrees and pascals, not urgency and quarters. Another breath, another decade slips away. 20 years vanished. Temperature -78 degrees. South polar cap subliming slightly faster at its margins. Carbon dioxide ice whispering to gas. Atmospheric pressure climbing from 610 to 630 pascals. 20 pascals gained. Almost nothing, still far below water's threshold. But the direction is true. Engineers monitor. Warming matches models. No unexpected failures. Infrastructure holds. Energy flows steadily. Nuclear reactors humming reliably. Solar arrays drinking thin Martian sun. Reserves sufficient for decades more. You sink deeper into patience. This work continues long after your bones rest, carried by children, grandchildren, generations dreaming in the future. "50 years, half a century dissolves in your sleeping." Temperature at Jezero, -73 degrees, 7 degrees warmer than the beginning. Pressure, 720 pascals, 18% higher. Polar ice visibly retreating. Orbital imagery reveals South Cap shrinking. Darker patches exposed where ice vanished, revealing ancient subsurface layers. Carbon dioxide entering atmosphere, accelerating the warming. Greenhouse feedback awakening. Each degree one sublimes more carbon dioxide, which births more warming, which releases more carbon dioxide. Positive feedback embraced. Critical threshold approaching. Once polar temperatures exceed -78 degrees, cascading effects possible. Rapid release of remaining polar stores over decades, not centuries. "75 years flow like extended dreaming." You wake to transformation. Temperature -65 degrees, 15 degrees warmer than the frozen beginning. Pressure, 850 pascals, 40% higher than the start. Atmosphere visibly thickening, sky slightly hazier, dust storms gathering strength, winds finding voice in denser air, occasional clouds condensing. Water vapor from subliming ice forming wisps. Still harsh, temperatures far below freezing, pressure too low for liquid water, air toxic to breathe. But the trajectory holds. First-generation dreamers, those who built initial factories, released first gases, are elderly or departed. Second generation tends the work, witnessing their ancestors' vision approaching reality. Third generation will witness water flowing. "100 years. A full century. Longer than human memory, but an instant in planetary time. Temperature at Jezero, -35 degrees, 45 degrees warmer than the start, halfway to water's melting point. Pressure, 1,200 pascals, double the original 610 pascals, crossing water's triple point threshold. South polar carbon dioxide cap nearly vanished, sublimed into atmosphere, causing pressure doubling and cascading greenhouse warming. In the warmest places, equatorial summer afternoons, Hellas Basin at -7 kilometers elevation, where pressure concentrates highest, temperature touches +5 degrees, above freezing. Water ice remembers liquidity. Your awareness rests at Jezero's ancient river delta edge. Summer afternoon, year 100. Temperature, +2 degrees. Pressure, 1,300 pascals, locally concentrated in crater depression. Air still poison, pressure still far too thin for naked skin. Yet you witness it, darkness spreading on a slope. Wet regolith, liquid water seeping from subsurface ice, melting for the first time since this delta formed 3.5 billion years ago. Not rushing, merely seeping, darkening soil, gathering in tiny depressions, yet liquid. You kneel, touch through your glove, sense moisture. Mars's ice remembering its ancient liquid nature. Days later, at the same place, the seep has grown to trickle. The trickle has carved a tiny channel, water flowing down slope. Centimeters per second, modest current, yet moving. Gravity drawing water toward the ancient delta floor where a vast lake once dreamed. You follow its path, watching it carve miniature canyons through dust, exposing bedrock, creating the first erosion Mars has witnessed in ages beyond counting. Water vanishes into sand, absorbed by parched regolith, evaporating into thin air. But during its brief flow, Mars lives. Hydrological cycle attempting resurrection. Ice melts, water flows. Some evaporates, some infiltrates underground. Night refreezes the surface. Next day, melts again. Incomplete cycle, but awakening. Year 120. First persistent water body forms. A small lake in Hellas Basin, Mars's deepest wound. Depth 3 meters. Surface area 1 square kilometer. Fed by ice melting from crater walls. Maintained by pressure 1,800 pascals at -7 kilometers elevation, sufficient for stability. And seasonal warmth, summer temperatures reaching +10 degrees. You stand at its shore, actual shore, water lapping at your boots, small waves driven by whispers of wind. Water crystal clear, no life yet, no sediment, pristine, cold at +4 degrees, hovering near freezing yet liquid. Martian Lake. First standing water in 3 billion years. Mars remembering what it once was, becoming it again through slow dreaming. Another century flows through your sleeping. Year 200 now. You sink deeper into rest, time becoming fluid, decades merging like water. Temperature at Jezero, -10 degrees average winter, +15 degrees summer peaks. Pressure, 2,500 pascals, approximately 2.5% of Earth's pressure. Humidity climbing, water evaporating from expanding lakes, melting ice fields, ascending into atmosphere. Sky transforming, occasional clouds, wispy initially, then more substantial. Cumulus formations appearing above warm lakes, convection lifting water vapor, weather systems organizing themselves. Your awareness rests in Valles, ancient river valley carved 3.5 billion years ago, 800 kilometers long, silent since its birth. Spring afternoon, year 200, temperature +8 degrees. Ground trembles faintly. You gaze upstream, water approaching. Spring emerging from canyon wall, ancient aquifer activated by subsurface melting, pressure forcing water to light. Trickle becomes stream, stream becomes current, water volume increasing as more springs activate along valley walls. Within hours, river flowing, cutting channel through dust, following the ancient valley floor toward Gusev crater. Mars's first river in 3 billion years awakens. A week later, the same valley. Flow has strengthened considerably. River 5 meters wide, ½ meter deep, flowing 2 meters per second. Slower than Earth rivers in 38% gravity, yet substantial. You walk beside it, watching water carve banks, transport sediment, create fresh erosion. Ancient valley remembering its purpose, water returning to paths worn eons ago. Geography as memory. Water flows where water flowed before. Continuity across billions of years. rivers of the distant past flowing again in this patient present. Time folding, Mars healing across eons through gentle, persistent human dreaming. Then the milestone you've been dreaming. First rain falls. Clouds darkening above Valles Marineris canyon system, year 215. Water vapor condensing around dust particles, droplets forming, growing, falling. Light drizzle initially, evaporating before touching ground. Then heavier precipitation, droplets reaching surface intact. Rain on Mars. You stand in it, faceplate beading with water, watching puddles form in dust. Hydrological cycle complete. Evaporation, condensation, precipitation, collection, evaporation again. Mars has weather now. Rain falls, rivers flow, lakes expand. Water spreading across the planet like slow awakening, reversing 3 billion years of desiccation through patient human love. Year 300 arrives. Temperature +5 degrees average, +25 degrees summer peaks at equator. Pressure 5,000 pascals, approximately 5% of Earth's pressure. You gaze over Valles Marineris, vast canyon 4,000 kilometers long, up to 7 kilometers deep. Canyon floor, water pooling, creating long, narrow lakes stretching hundreds of kilometers. Lake shores touched with green. Not vibrant earth green, but dull olive-brown green, yet unmistakably alive. Cyanobacteria, seeded decades prior, spreading wherever liquid water exists, forming mats on stones, coating lake bottoms, floating in water columns. You descend canyon floor, elevator from rim settlement connecting to the growing biosphere zone. Approaching lakeshore, witnessing bacterial mats beneath clear water. Green film coating submerged rocks, bubbles rising, oxygen from photosynthesis. 6 carbon dioxide plus 6 water plus light yields sugar plus 6 oxygen. Coverage still sparse. Cyanobacteria occupy roughly 1% of planetary surface, concentrated in warmest, wettest regions, yet expanding 10% annually. Growth follows water, riverbanks greening, lake shores greening, moist soil patches greening, spreading like slow moss across red stone. You kneel at water's edge, witnessing bacteria closely. Layered mats, stromatolites forming. Same structures Earth's cyanobacteria created 3.5 billion years ago, now recreated here. Slimy texture, Faint organic scent detectable through soot filters. Life. Mars lived once, perhaps. Evidence ambiguous. 4 billion years ago. Died when atmosphere was stolen. Now lives again through deliberate human introduction. Question emerges: is this authentic Mars life or imported Earth life? Answer: both. Bacteria, earthly in ancestry, yet Martian in residence, adapting to different gravity, sunlight, atmospheric composition, evolving into Martian organisms across generations. New evolutionary story beginning. Oxygen production now measurable. Instruments detect atmospheric oxygen at 0.1% concentration. Still trivial compared to Earth's 21%. Still unbreathable, yet detectable above background. Production rate 10 to the 15th grams annually, accumulating linearly as bacterial coverage expands. Breathable atmosphere 15 to 20% oxygen at target pressure. Requires 10 to the 20th to 10 to the 21st grams total, meaning 500 to 1,000 years at current production rate. Timeline extending into deep future, yet the process unfolds. Green spreads molecule by molecule, breath by microscopic breath. Oxygen accumulating in atmosphere, like hope compounding across centuries. Year 500 arrives. 5 centuries since the awakening began. 15 to 16 human generations committed to this vision. You wake from deep rest, time having flowed around you like slow water. Mars transformed visibly. From orbit, the planet displays blue patches, oceans, seas, lakes. Green patches, vegetation zones. White patches, smaller polar caps, water ice dominated. Brown-red patches, remaining bare regolith, still majority, but shrinking annually. Temperature, plus 10 degrees average, plus 30 degrees summer peaks. Pressure, 15,000 pascals, approximately 15% of Earth's pressure. Oxygen, 5% concentration, still unbreathable, yet approaching levels where ozone layer begins forming. Your awareness rests on the shore of Vastitas Borealis Ocean. Northern lowlands flooded across past 2 centuries, water now covering 30% of planetary surface. Depth 100 to 300 meters. Waves lap at your boots. Actual ocean waves, wind-driven, rhythmic, hypnotic. Sky, salmon pink transitioning to pale blue overhead. Thicker atmosphere scatters light differently, approaching Earth-like Rayleigh scattering, though dust still lingers, giving characteristic Martian tint. Clouds substantial, cumulus formations, weather systems organizing, occasional thunderstorms visible on the horizon. Lightning in Martian sky, electrical discharge through increasingly conductive atmosphere. Vegetation everywhere you look. Cyanobacteria mats now ubiquitous near water, covering approximately 15% of planetary surface. Joined by mosses carpeting rocks, engineered for cold tolerance, low pressure, thin air. First experimental grasses in sheltered valleys, bamboo species, tough and fast-growing, spreading in Hellas Basin lowlands. Lichen covering boulders, symbiosis of fungi and algae, extremely stress-tolerant, colonizing from coasts to highlands. Green extending from water bodies outward, 50 kilometers inland from ocean shores, 10 kilometers from riverbanks, coating slopes facing equator, receiving most sunlight. Planet slowly greening, life claiming Mars, 1 meter at a time. Rain frequent in tropical zones now. Equatorial belt receiving monsoons, seasonal heavy precipitation. River systems flowing year-round, fed by rain and melting ice. Waterfalls forming over cliffs, flowing gracefully in 38% gravity. Different aesthetics than Earth waterfalls, more languid, more dreamlike. You stand beneath a waterfall in Valles Marineris, 100-meter drop, water falling slowly enough to track individual droplets. Mist rising, rainbow forming in spray, sun illuminating the scene with pale amber light. Beauty unexpected. Mars becoming aesthetically compelling, not just scientifically fascinating. Worthy of meditation, not just study. Year 800. 8 centuries. Time losing all meaning. You've rested through so many decades they blur together. Transformation feeling inevitable now, rather than uncertain. Temperature, plus 12 degrees average, plus 32 degrees peaks. Pressure, 30,000 pascals, approximately 30% of Earth's pressure. Oxygen, 12% concentration, approaching breathability. Need approximately 15% oxygen at this pressure for comfortable breathing. Threshold visible ahead. You're walking through forest. Actual forest. Trees 10 to 15 meters tall. Species, pines, engineered for Mars conditions. Cold tolerant, low pressure adapted, efficient photosynthesis. Birches, fast growing, adapted to thin soil. Genetically modified sequoias, experimental, thriving in hellish space and warmth. Understory, shrubs, heather, low bushes, ferns, primitive plants flourishing in Martian conditions. Ground cover of moss and grass. Soil beneath, actual soil now, not merely regolith. Organic matter from centuries of decomposing plant material, microbial activity, earthworm action. Earthworms introduced to aerate soil, decompose organic matter, crucial for soil development. Overhead, birds calling. Sparrows, engineered for thin air, enhanced lung capacity, more efficient oxygen exchange, larger hearts relative to body mass. Flitting between branches, songs echoing through forest. Martian birdsong. Insects, bees pollinating flowers, wildflowers growing in understory clearings. Butterflies, monarchs, genetically modified for low-pressure flight, thriving. Beetles decomposing fallen wood, ants building colonies in soil. Full ecosystem developing. Primary producers, plants. Primary consumers, insects, herbivores. Secondary consumers, insectivorous birds. Decomposers, fungi, bacteria, earthworms. Trophic levels establishing. Energy flowing through food web. Mars supporting complex, multi-species communities. Stream flowing through forest. Clear water. Cold at +8 degrees. Fish visible beneath the surface. Trout, cold water species, introduced for protein and ecosystem completion. Adapted for lower oxygen levels, thriving in clean Martian streams. You kneel, watching fish swim. Effortless movement through water, bodies sleek, healthy. Aquatic ecosystem functional. Algae coating rocks, insects, mayfly larvae, caddisfly nymphs hiding in gravel, fish feeding, nutrient cycling. Mars has fish now. Impossible statement just centuries ago. Reality in this patient present. You remove your helmet briefly. Risky, yet possible for limited time. Air, cold at +10 degrees. Thin, 30 kilopascals pressure equals approximately 8,000 meter Earth altitude equivalent. Oxygen poor. 12% oxygen gives approximately 3.6 kilopascals oxygen partial pressure. Breathable with difficulty, like summit of high mountain. First breath of Martian air. Crisp, clean, cold in lungs. Oxygen barely adequate. Brain slightly hypoxic. Thinking fuzzy. Breathing labored. Can't sustain this for hours. Need helmet for prolonged activity. Yet breathing unassisted possible for minutes. Threshold approaching, where helmet becomes optional rather than mandatory. Freedom from confinement within sight. Year 1000 arrives. Millennium. 33 human generations working toward this moment, each contributing, none witnessing completion in their lifetime, all trusting the process. Temperature, plus 14 degrees average, Earth-like. Plus 35 degrees summer peaks, minus 20 degrees winter lows. Seasonal variation remaining due to orbit and axial tilt, yet within terrestrial range, comparable to Earth's temperate zones. Pressure, 50,000 pascals, approximately 50% Earth pressure, half of sea level, yet sufficient for human comfort with adaptation. Oxygen, 18% concentration at 50 kilopascals pressure, equals approximately 9 kilopascals oxygen partial pressure. Humans ideally need 16 kilopascals, yet 9 kilopascals survivable, equivalent to 8,000 meter Earth altitude. Permanent Martian residents adapt over generations. Born Martians have enhanced lung capacity, efficient oxygen utilization, thriving in thin air. Your awareness rests in a Martian meadow. Grass, terrestrial species, engineered varieties, wildflowers, poppies, lupins, daisies, all adapted. Butterfly feeding on flower, monarch, wings iridescent in Martian sunlight, genetically modified for thin air, successful introduction. No helmet necessary, no suit confining you. Light jacket against cool breeze at plus 12 degrees, comfortable. Sky, blue, pale blue overhead, thin atmosphere, less scattering than Earth. Salmon pink near horizon, dust never fully eliminated. Mars retains its identity despite transformation. White clouds drifting, cumulus, fair weather, beautiful. Breathe deeply, air thin yet breathable, fresh, scent of grass and distant water. Lungs work harder than on Earth, noticeable, like being at altitude, yet sustainable indefinitely for adapted residents. In the distance, forest, pines, birches, stand of sequoias. Hills rolling toward horizon, stream flowing through valley, settlement visible in the middle distance. Dome-free buildings. Architecture now includes open windows, balconies, outdoor gathering spaces, no pressure differential to seal against. Overhead, Earth visible as bright evening star, blue-white point, magnitude -2, brighter than any star except Sun, Venus-like brilliance from Mars. Origin world, home of ancestors, still populous and thriving presumably, yet no longer humanity's only home. Two living worlds now, two biospheres, backup for life, insurance against extinction, expression of human capacity for patient transformation. You lie in grass now, feeling soil beneath, real soil, organically rich, supporting diverse life. Watching clouds drift, breathing Martian air freely for the first time in human history. For the first time in Martian history, if Mars never had breathable atmosphere even 4 billion years ago, when warmer and wetter. Millennium of patience culminating. Mars transformed. Humanity expanded. Second living world created through multi-generational cooperation. Greatest engineering achievement in human history. Greatest biological introduction ever attempted. Greatest expression of human patience and vision. And you breathe it, simply and freely, lying in grass under blue Martian sky, held by transformed planet, embraced by possibility realized. Contemplate what this transformation demanded. Not one genius, not one government, not one lifetime. Generational commitment. each generation contributing, none witnessing completion in their lifetime, yet trusting the process. Like medieval cathedral builders, masons laying foundations, knowing their great-great-grandchildren would raise spires. Working for future, not personal glory, legacy, not immediate reward. Mars terraforming as multi-generational project, teaching patience, delayed gratification, civilization-level cooperation. Long-term thinking absent from quarterly earnings culture, election cycle politics, instant gratification consumerism. Yet humanity capable of this patience when properly motivated, when vision noble enough, when project compelling enough. You realize, not can we afford it, but can we afford not to ensure our continuation by becoming multiplanetary, spreading life beyond single planet, creating redundancy against extinction. Cost: trillions of dollars, thousands of years, countless lives devoted to project never witnessing completion. Benefit: surviving as species, expanding consciousness to multiple worlds, learning to garden planets, becoming truly spacefaring civilization capable of multi-generational thinking. This patience, watching decades flow, centuries accumulate, transformation unfold at planetary pace, mirrors the patience required for falling asleep. Both require releasing urgency, trusting process beyond conscious control, accepting that meaningful change occurs on timescales exceeding immediate attention span, surrendering to larger rhythms. As Mars warmed gradually, you relax gradually now. As atmosphere thickened over centuries, your breathing deepens over moments. Transformation and rest, parallel processes, both requiring patience, both ultimately peaceful. Question emerges: should we terraform Mars? Not could we, clearly possible given time and resources, yet should we? Does humanity have right to transform a planet? Arguments for preservation. Mars has intrinsic value independent of human use, deserves protection as wilderness, as scientific preserve, as monument to planetary processes. If indigenous Martian life exists, subsurface microbes in aquifers, deep caves, terraforming would destroy unique evolutionary lineage, irreplaceable biology. Once terraformed, pristine Mars vanished forever. Irreversible change, permanent alteration. Arguments for expansion. Becoming multiplanetary ensures human species survival against extinction risks. Asteroid impact, nuclear war, climate catastrophe, pandemic, any single planet disaster. Terraformed Mars enables experiments impossible on Earth, scientific opportunities, new societies, cultural diversification. Humans are toolmakers, transformers, gardeners. Engineering planets reflects our nature, not as passive observers, but active participants in cosmos. If Mars confirmed sterile through exhaustive exploration, decades searching for life, then no indigenous biology harmed by transformation. Synthesis possible. Explore thoroughly first. Decades of missions searching every plausible habitat for life. Subsurface aquifers, caves, polar ice, deep regolith. Proceed only if Mars confirmed lifeless. Maintain preserves of original conditions. Protected regions never terraformed, preserving unaltered Mars for science and heritage. Recognize decisions' gravity, requiring global consensus across generations, not rushed choice, yet deliberate commitment over centuries. If we terraform, do so carefully, respectfully, acknowledging responsibility for maintaining what we create. Tonight, not advocating for terraforming as necessity, not presenting as urgent escape from dying Earth. Earth remains supremely habitable compared to Mars, protecting Earth far easier and more important than terraforming Mars. Instead, contemplating possibility, exploring science, experiencing imaginatively what patient, multi-generational transformation might achieve. Whether we should remains open question. That we could, given patience deep as geological time, seems increasingly clear. Lying in Martian meadow, year 1500 now. Transformation continuing beyond breathable threshold. Ecosystems complexifying, new species introduced. Climate fine-tuning ongoing. Dusk approaching. Sun setting. Smaller disk than Earth's sunset, yet familiar after generations. First stars appearing. Then, Earth rising above eastern horizon. Bright blue-white star, magnitude -2.5, brightest point in night sky except Sun, and occasionally Venus when visible. You know, that blue point contains billions of humans, biosphere of millions of species, all recorded history, origin of life now growing on two worlds. Emotionally, Earth is beautiful distant light, home of ancestors, yet not your home. You were born here, Mars, under salmon blue sky, in 38% gravity, breathing thin yet adequate air, adapted to cold and altitude. Earth is myth, history, origin story, genetic homeland. Yet Mars is home, soil beneath you, air you breathe, trees you climbed as child, ocean you swam in, life you live daily. Transformation complete, not just geologically, breathable atmosphere, yet psychologically, belonging to Mars, not just living on Mars. Two living worlds now, two biospheres. Humanity multiplanetary, not just physically, populations on multiple planets, yet culturally, different planets claiming as home. Earth-Mars connection remains. Trade ships, communication with minutes of light delay, conversation slow yet possible, cultural exchange, family ties across worlds. Yet divergence beginning, Martians adapting evolutionarily over generations, larger lungs, more efficient oxygen metabolism, possibly becoming separate subspecies over thousands of years, developing unique culture, forming Martian identity distinct from Earth identity while honoring origin. You close your eyes now, breathing Martian air, feeling Martian soil, listening to Martian wind through engineered trees. And feel peace. Not triumphalism, we conquered Mars. Not guilt, we altered pristine world. Yet peace. Satisfaction of patient work across generations, achievement of noble vision, expansion of life's presence in universe, creation of second garden world. Sleep comes naturally here, held by transformed planet, embraced by possibility made real. Contemplate civilizational maturity now. 2,000 years.
terraforming complete, though maintenance continuous. Comets redirected every few centuries to replenish atmospheric losses. Biological management ongoing. Climate fine-tuning never-ending. You're elderly now, 120 years old. Lifespan extended by medical advances. Sitting on porch, watching grandchildren play in yard. Mars-born, adapted. Superior lung capacity, efficient oxygen utilization. Comfort in 38% gravity that would weaken Earthborn. "2,000 years ago, humanity still using Roman numerals, building with stone and wood, believing Earth center of universe. Now, 2 living worlds, continuous habitation from Mercury to outer solar system, fusion power abundant, yet fundamentally same species. Still curious, still building, still transforming environments to suit needs, still looking outward, asking what comes next. Terraforming Mars demonstrated humanity capable of multi-millennial patience, planet-scale engineering, taking responsibility for maintaining life support systems, cooperating across generations toward distant goals. Skills necessary for managing Earth's climate. If we can terraform Mars, can surely maintain Earth. Expanding to other worlds, Venus next perhaps. Terraforming harder, yet conceivable. Europa's ocean, Titan's atmosphere. Surviving long-term as species. Multi-planetary redundancy protects against extinction. Maturing as civilization, thinking beyond quarterly profits, election cycles, individual lifetimes to geological, astronomical timescales, where meaningful change unfolds. You close your eyes, breathing Martian air, feeling Mars soil, listening to Martian wind through engineered trees. And think, we did this. Patiently, cooperatively, persistently across time, deeper than empires. We gardened a planet. What else might we accomplish? You're lying in grass on transformed Mars, year 2000. Blue sky overhead, thin yet breathable. Distant water sounds stream flowing, ocean waves. Temperature comfortable, plus 15 degrees, light breeze. Earth visible as bright evening star. Origin acknowledged, yet no longer only home. Mars lives, green, wet, breathing. You've witnessed transformation across centuries, patient gardening of a planet. Rest now in this achievement. Sleep comes naturally here. Breathing, slow, deep, easy despite thin air, adapted, comfortable. Grass soft beneath you, soil rich with organic matter accumulated over centuries. Birds calling in distance, Martian birds now, adapted species thriving. Insects humming softly. Life surrounding you, embracing you, holding you. Mars transformed from frozen desert to living world through multi-generational patience you've imaginatively witnessed. Peace settles over you completely. Tomorrow, questions return, choices to consider, ethical debates to resolve. Tonight, simply rest beneath blue salmon Martian sky, breathing transformed air, held by transformed world. Whether humanity should terraform Mars remains open question. That we could, given patience, demonstrated through contemplation. Possibility explored. Science understood. Wonder felt. Now, sleep. Eyes close naturally now. Sky disappears, yet remains in memory. Blue overhead, pink at horizon. Earth bright in evening, stars emerging. Grass beneath you, wind through trees. Water flowing somewhere distant. Life present everywhere. Mars alive again after 3 billion years frozen, through human choice, human patience, human gardening across deep time. You rest as transformation rests, both complete yet ongoing, both peaceful. Sleep deeply now. Transformation witnessed, time-lapse experienced, centuries flowed like slow water. Mars changed from red to green, frozen to flowing, silent to singing. Patient gardening across 33 generations, teaching patience, teaching rest, teaching trust in processes beyond individual lifetime. Dream of transformed worlds, or simply dream peacefully. Peace remains constant. Mars holds you gently. Sleep comes. Breathe transformed air. Rest in transformed world. Held by deep time patience. Embraced by possibility. Good night. Transformation complete. Millennium achieved. Breathable. Mars alive, green, wet, breathing, singing again. Blue sky overhead. Earth visible, evening star. "33 generations patient work completed, fulfilled." Multi-generational patience, teaching deep rest now. Cathedral builders across centuries, comparison true. Patience for transformation mirrors sleep patience both. Sky disappears, yet remains in memory. Blue overhead, pink at horizon, earth bright in evening, stars emerging. Grass beneath you, wind through trees, water flowing somewhere distant, life present everywhere. Mars alive again after 3 billion years frozen, through human choice, human patience, human gardening across deep time. You rest as transformation rests, both complete yet ongoing, both peaceful. Sleep deeply now. Transformation witnessed, time-lapse experienced, centuries flowed like slow water. Mars changed from red to green, frozen to flowing, silent to singing. Patient gardening across 33 generations, teaching patience, teaching rest, teaching trust in processes beyond individual lifetime. Dream of transformed worlds, or simply dream peacefully. Peace remains constant. Mars holds you gently. Sleep comes. Breathe transformed air. Rest in transformed world. Held by deep time patience. Embraced by possibility. Good night. Transformation complete. Millennium achieved. Breathable.